En français, et c'est un cadeau pour notre interprète. Так, ну про журналистику Леонид сказал.
So Leonid gave some introduction into my journalistics, but I'm a business person now. I lead custom MT company who trains AI translation. So I'm not going to talk about that. We won't even need slides for now. Let me introduce myself. Or stand up, those of you who are freelancers in the audience. Can we please stay seated? No, you should. If you didn't stand up, you're not freelancer. We were standing to begin with. Those who were standing, raise your hands, please, now. Both hands raised, please. Thank you. Please be seated. Now stand out those who are entrepreneurs in the audience. Those who are entrepreneurs. Raise your hands. Those who are entrepreneurs. Stand up those whose name is Stanislav. Right, last question. Please stand up those of you who are customers with a budget of more than $100 million for machine translation allocated. More than $100 million. Can I borrow you for an evening? So, who didn't stand up? Please stand up. Those who didn't stand up for some reason. Who are you people at all? What are you doing here? Okay, please be seated. So, it's a responsible thing for me. We have judges who are very stringent, and my heart is aching. My family's watching me. Family, where are you now? See, I'm lying to you from the beginning. At least the chickens are from... Hey, my family, where are you? Okay, let's talk about brass tacks. Do you want to talk about brass tacks? Business? The beeswax? So what has changed in the world for the most in the last 2 or year and a half? What's the most changed? Let me give you a small visual cue. That's a glamorous platypus mask. We started wearing masks like all kinds of animals. See, our jury voted in for other options. Remote work, working remotely. Please give a round of applause for remote working. So what's important in working remotely? There will be some slides, but I'm not going to show it to you. The slides show you work in an era that is for Ukrainian and freelance entrepreneurs unprecedented. Why is the best time way better than ever before? Do you know why? Why is it so good to work here? Mysterious and awkward pause. Nobody knows? Yeah, because you can work remotely from here to a different customer in anywhere in the world. What's become so much better that we didn't have it that good before? So let me give you a hint. 2 years ago, a customer in New York orders from a supplier in New York, nearby, using New York prices, like $1,500 per day for a simultaneous interpreter. What happened then? So the customer comes to the interpreter in New York, sit in a restaurant, you buy him a pizza. When New York entered lockdown, you book a Ukrainian interpreter for $1,500 per day or $1,200 per day in Ukraine and in New York. See, imagine how difficult it is to find in New York an expert in medical translation into Ukrainian. It's very difficult. But in Ukraine, who is here? Medical interpreters from Ukrainian. Do you want to work for $1,200 per day? Of course. So there used to be a lockdown period. We were all in equal conditions. You're sitting in your kitchen talking to your customer, and your New York peer sitting at the kitchen, and your kitchen looks even better than his. Internet is great here, right? You can sit here in the forest, in the fresh air, and feeding the broadcast. What are the most exotic participants, attendees from Puerto Rico? Quite possibly. So no barriers. You can sit here in the woods, maybe dump the New York prices a little bit, but it's 5 times greater than Ukrainian customers price-wise, right? So what do you have to be able to do to get a New York customer right here, right now? To communicate, of course. How do you communicate with customers in New York? I want to hear one word from you, remotely, another word. For Zoom. Right, your round of applause too. Zoom. So, the way how you communicate via Zoom will determine whether you will get a customer in New York or not. You are in equal conditions, regardless of whether you are an interpreter in New York or in Kharkiv. Same thing. Kitchen, Zoom. So who wins? Who gets a New York-based customer? Those who are greater communicators per Zoom. Stanislav? I need a volunteer. I need one volunteer here. Raise your hands.
What's your name? I'm Svetlana. I'll probably show you how you do not successfully communicate. I also need your help. You're definitely a strong man. You're Zoom. What's your name? Vasil. Your applauses, please, to Vasil. Your task is to hold Zoom. You ensure connection. Horizontally. I hope you're fine with it. So here is Svetlana. Svetlana is in Zoom. Kitchen. We have a person in Zoom. Let's go. I'm a New York client, customer. You offer translation services. So let's go. You have a meeting with me. Who am I? Let's say I'm a medical company. I have a delegation. Morning. Do we have the second mic? Please show Svetlana how she looks like in Zoom. Is it okay? Do you see? Let's try again. Applauses to Svetlana to cheer her up a bit. So I will just probably stand with my back to you in order I face Svetlana. Hi. Morning. Morning. I have heard you have a job for me. Wrong from the start. I show how we should not behave, actually. So how do you look? Probably I show one trick how I do it. This is the notebook. The whole structure. Well, unfortunately, we have this back part here, but just imagine, here is the notebook. You see, she's standing. So if I see it, if I get seated, she will dominate over me. And I already feel uncomfortable. Sveta, I have a job for you, actually. Please sit straight up your shoulders, and you watch into the camera. Everybody is watching actually his or her image, but when you look into the camera, you definitely will look better. Okay, sit straight, please. Mind your posture. I often move, but you should not move. So what do we start with? Probably we greet a person. Hello. Hello, and probably I should introduce myself. Okay, we booked a meeting, so I'm glad to see you. You. A couple of kind words. How are you? So how do you ask about my business, about how I am? Good morning. I'm happy to see you. How are you? I hope you're fine. Okay, well, what about you? Great. Everything's fine. What's next? Probably too short, small talk. Your applauses. Probably there should be some extended small talk. So what do you start this small talk with? Probably some general topics, some positive news, I don't know. Vasily, are you okay? Probably if we have some background, probably you should say, well, nice room, or probably you can ask whether the connection is good. Okay, give me some praise, give me some compliment. Remember, ladies, you have great spectacles frame. Well, they're not expensive. I have some other from Ray-Ban, but here in the forest I'm wearing this. Wow, very nice color, very matches your eyes. Well, I bought it in a small shop in Prague. Wow, it was really good bargain. Well, a risky topic, I mean, discussing appearance. Probably if I discuss the spectacles or appearance of an American lady, it's actually risky. Probably I would describe some interior details. Where are you, Svetlana? I'm at home. Where exactly? Where do you live? Novaya Kakhovka. I have never heard about Novaya Kakhovka. It's a great small town in the south of Ukraine. I like it. Very comfortable, peaceful town. Very good for bringing kids up. What's the weather like in Novaya Kakhovka? Fantastic. Now it's summertime and the weather in summer is fantastic. I'm glad to see you. Thank you for telling me about the town you're from, Novaya Kakhovka. Probably I'll even take a look at some photos. And here you should have a sense that there is some awkward pause. What do you do next? Well, I probably won't be able to quickly formulate it, but I would probably mention the job you might offer me. Okay, I'm here with you. So I would do the transition. So small talk is over. Well, I've read about your company or probably about your clinic, if it is a direct line. I'm really impressed with what you're doing. It's a compliment. That's good. It is compatible with what I was doing the previous years. And then I will probably ask you, tell me a bit about your company or clinic. Do not start with a job offer. If you started the job with the job offer, you've really taken a shot at yourself. You can ask what the company is dealing with. There are companies that write about biomedical AI, that is tracing some structural data in non-structured speech. Well, what is the situation with me? We have a biomedical company and we expect a delegation and we need a translator to communicate with them. What kind of questions you will ask me as a consumer? That's really interesting. Probably at this stage, as an expert, I would ask what kind of biotechnology the company deals with. Well, give me 3 or 4 questions I'm not an expert in biotechnologies, but anyway, I will probably ask some more details about biotechnology because this is a new area. There are new opportunities behind this area. This is a prospective branch. So, okay, I give you a 30-minute talk about biotechnologies. Let's applaud to Svetlana. It was really great. Thank you.
Отлично, отличная работа.
Well done.
Zoom выключает.
Zoom is off.
Вы для себя что-нибудь новое сейчас увидели? Кто увидел для себя что-то новое? Поднимите руку.
Have you seen something new? Those who found something new for yourself, please stand up. No. People are standing up. That's good.
Значит, в чем урок? В чем урок?
So what's the takeaway lesson?
Сколько?
How many questions should you give?
Все время, пока вы общаетесь.
All the time while you're communicating with a potential client, you ask questions. You do not mention your offer. You do follow up at least 6 or 7 times.
Да, да, только вопросы, да?
Only
И
questions.
вот этот момент, как вы презентуете себя в Zoom,
And the way you introduce and present yourself in Zoom is really important in any job. If you are a freelancer and you sell your offers, it will help you find your client. If you are a head of a unit or a manager, what his or her primary task? For the subordinates to work well. And again, it is done in the same way by soft skills, by just trying to work with people,
победить
by flattering people.
специалиста, который в той культуре,
So to win a New York client who's in a different culture is quite difficult. You can probably offer some reduced prices, but however low your prices may be, if you do not establish trust-based relationship, you won't be able to get it. So if you want to get a good client, you should build trust-based relationship. Without a good approach, without your behavior in Zoom, without confident talk, you won't be successful. All these puzzle elements will make a big picture. When you establish this trust-based relationship, you start talking about your product. But until you build this relationship, price issues are secondary. For example, I already want to start working with Svetlana. Definitely, I do not have a job offer for $1,200 a day related to biomedical technologies, but who knows? Maybe I'll have it sometime later. That was my practical part, but now I would like to ask you a question. Or probably it's enough. Probably I have been talking long enough and it's time for some dinner or lunch, or probably you would like to listen to some theory. Those who would like to have some lunch, actually, you may go and have one.
Ну хорошо, тогда вот самое главное, то, что я вам хотела сказать,
The most important I wanted to share with you,
онлайн-презентация самого
be
себя.
a leader
Изучите, как
in online presentation of yourself. Think how you can do it best. Take the right approach, and new opportunities will be opened for you. Whether we are talking about job searching or searching for other things. I'm married with a French woman, and now she's at the beach. When I came to France for the first time, it was really very difficult to adapt, and as a Russian barbarian person, I really didn't work well, did not succeed from the very beginning. But 10 years passed, 13 or 14 years have passed, and I understood the subtleties of European cultures. So I can understand what people want, what they need, how I should build a talk with them, and you cannot do it immediately from scratch. Probably it won't be easy for you either. But after you get to a certain level on this curve, you're already in the game. You already can compete. So please, let yourself compete.
здесь фотографиями. Проедем быстро эти слайды. Значит,
Let's go
смотрите,
through the
это,
slides very quickly.
изменения в
Here you see some financial changes The clicker doesn't work, but you see that at the background of COVID, well, GDP has dropped down. This is the first half of 2021. You see investors' capital that they invested in startups. You see how high it is. Who can interpret the graph? GDP drops while venture capital goes up. What does it mean? What is it all about? One by one, please. Probably if they invest, it means they expect an economic boom. Hysterics element. Overheated economic system. Everything is simple. They do not know where to put their money in. There are such people, and when they do not know what to do with their money, they invest them in startups. I agree with Leonid. What does it mean for you? What does it mean for you? So you see, GDP drops down, startup investment goes up. I would like to come back to the previous question. We are talking about huge request for updating of everything, technologies, relationship, methodologies. And for us as performers, it means a huge opportunity to go into this world, to change the rules of the game and to find good performers, good translators. So if we use our language, startups have been invested into and they will spend it. So what do startups need? So they got, let's say, 264 billion euros of investments just for the first half of the year. What do they need? They need expert services. What kind of services you can provide? Give me some examples. Be active, please. Content, localization. What else? What do the startups need? Joseph has left, but let's say about machine system training. Still needs some hands. Technical support, translation, brand management. What else do they need? Content ads, social networks, social media. What else can you offer? Voice over, video, subtitling, video creation, animation, website creation, cartoon, well, artists, designers. What else? Consumer support. What else? Enough? Just enough for the beginning. You see, lots of money. Who's going to get this money? It's understandable what they need. Money is there. Investors just do not give money for nothing. Investors usually gives money for, let's say, 6 months or a year, and then the next round goes. So, if there is no some risky situation Leonid was speaking about, then the next element of the graph will be as high. And in order to master this, you need Zoom. Here you have more. Another slide, and you see that we have more unicorns. In the first half of the 2021, we have 320 unicorns. Unicorns are startups that have been estimated as $1 billion. And here, there is another question. What does it mean? Definitely they need expert services, but here we should also mention digitalization. In traditional industry, the economy goes down. Let's talk about space research, heavy metallurgy, mining, all these things. It depends how it goes, but it goes down, while startups are fine. So we are talking about digitalization, we are talking about software development, and now we should also add AI. Or in translation industry, we are talking about auto subtitling or machine translation. And there are a number of other topics. I will briefly flick through them, but help you understand. There is such a topic as data labeling services. In order to produce an AI model, you need lots of data. How you get this data? You have lots of employees. For example, the machine translation will do some translation. For graphic design, you are supposed to have some frames. Voice recognition system also will be used. Do we have any cars produced in Ukraine? Tavria, for example, is a vehicle. In order to have it non-pilot, it's necessary to use voice recognition system. For example, you make audio recording of 100 kids, then you mark some or label some words, and on the basis of this, you create voice recognition data. Clever businessmen such as Leonid are already in the topic. They are already in business. They take 100 Ukrainian kids, they record their voice, pay everybody $5, and go further. Well, they earn 50 on this per each. Leonid, it's not about you, it's about very clever and smart business people. I catch your look. Yes, I see. Well, probably I will apologize during the evening. And product AI. I will show you what AI is. Here we have Wikipedia article, and people just label data, human, venue, place, and later test system will probably sum up the text and give you the primary topic. Do you know what sentiment analysis is? When the text is judged for emotions. For example, FBI should not only detect terrorists or some bombs or mines, well, Allah Akbar, not a good joke, but whether the text is positive or negative. And here, it's about positive judgment or negative judgment or evaluation. Categorization is about sport technology or something. Chatbots is a good example of AI. Unfortunately, Clicker is not. For example, you give a question, my car doesn't go, and the chatbot gives you the answer. Okay, try to switch it off and switch it on. Therefore, there are lots of questions like that, and therefore chatbots are used. Just think about machine copywriter that will provide a description for 1,000 products. A person will be involved in editing, but the person who will tune the system for the system to be efficient will really earn a lot. Here is the system for journalists that analyzes text in different articles, covers 2 million articles a day, tracks emotions, general ideas, classifies the articles regarding the topic, and here we have the information system for journalists. It is immediately understandable who wrote about what. For example, the Arab people gave a positive evaluation, Chinese people in a negative way, Russian in a negative way, French people in a positive way. Here you see the same system that uses this artificial intelligence in language, but for brand managers, for marketologists, it will say, for example, do we have any airline in Ukraine? MAU. For example, there were 100 positive mentions, and there was one who wrote that MAU is not a good company, and brand manager will be responding to it immediately. So he will probably go to social media and write, no, we are not bad. It's probably your life circumstances, you are to blame.
То же самое есть для искусственного интеллекта.
The same things, artificial intelligence and language, is for legal topics. For example, the judgments are analyzed. What kind of judgment was taken by the judge? And the good lawyer will be able to forecast whether he should take the case or not. And there is also the financial element that reads the ads of public corporations. For example, we issued our shares or we have a new head of the company, and the system actually forecasts how the share prices will change. And later, the system provides the data to those people who would like to produce some trading robots. So you can earn money on creating such products. This is a huge topic, and we really should go into this topic. I hope I have given you quite a lot of difficult material, isn't it? Just confirm it. Probably I will give you some easier relaxation material.
Stanislav, what was your dream in the childhood? Did you dream of becoming a CEO of a restaurant, or fire station? Who did you want to become? A sniper shooter? I'm probably leaving soon. Tatiana, who did you want to become? A journalist. Right. Who did you want to become as a child? You're probably not your dream. A writer. Okay, writer. I wanted to be a scientist. I wanted to discover eternal life, go to some uninhabitable planet, like here in this cartoon. You know, you see that he's holding eternal life in his hands. Now the question. Right now, people are working on the secret of longevity. This is one of the highest paid positions in a big biotech company, Sanofi, regulatory affairs manager. You know what is it does that person do? Regulatory affairs manager. What do they do? Maybe one of you knows. Yeah. He picks up the phone. Hello, government. What are we doing today? So you imagine that, right? Next, senior specialist trial supply operations, $200,000 a month, a year, a month probably. Head of strategic pricing, contracting, and analytics. Does anyone know? Does anyone know? Sitting there analyzing market? Senior value and access manager. Who knows what that person does? The position was open on the website when I was still making this position. A obscene salary with all the perks, dental, relocation, everything. Nobody knows? I don't know either. So the conclusion I'm pointing at is that right until you're not so deep in pharmaceuticals and biotechnology, like our highly respected Anna and Svetlana, you won't know anything about what market needs. Before delving deep into this highly developing AI in language topic, you have to get in there. First, you have to stop crawling and start walking, make your first steps, and make your way. If what I've told you about the AI that permeates all the projects, the NLP, not neuro-linguistic programming, but natural language processing, and now it looks like a wall to you, and it has nothing to do with you, what first step you have to do? The first step. You have to just make the first step, at least towards the higher brink of the wall. So, See, buy, purchase a voice of a child. Like the company that works in NLP is no different from the translator company. Basically, companies who sell services, they are similar. They have the same roles. You work with different areas, technical areas, but the roles are different. Knowledge gets obsolete very quickly. What I can tell you now from the stage in 2 years is going to be irrelevant, probably. So only if you are constantly upping the ante of your knowledge, the roles are still there. If you are in production, you're a freelancer. You are a freelancer for years ahead. If you understand how to manage people, then you will manage people. If you know how to generate sales, then you will be a salesperson. Customers are going to be the same. AI is needed in every area. So who you work with? Marketing, product owner, dev, so who manages the budget, technical support, product owner, the technical manager, director, they all have the same KPI, the same goals, the same tasks. They can have different technical area, but if you found the key, if you found your way in this area, you're there. So that was all for the theoretical part. A little bit about money. How to package your services, seen by the freelancer. So we're selling translation now, like several cents or hryvnias per word. Gradually, with machine translation coming in, the services will be vague. Copywriting will be design, sales-oriented design, copywriting-oriented sales. So an hour of your time, an hourly rate, and then levels. If you work for $4 to $10 per hour, then you're a personal assistant. That's what the customer needs, especially if you're in New York. If it's $20, $25 per hour, then you're probably a small Ukrainian agency or Eastern European specialist. Also, the rates are not that high. If you offer a price too low for marketing director, they won't hire you. Last year, I had a big breakdown. I entered the tender and offered $15,000 per 10 days. My competitor offered $100,000. Guess who won? Not me. 10 days of work, $100,000, and it was a big Swiss organization. They thought 15,000 is such a measly pay. I won't be able to do it. I'm not up to it. So $50 per hour, qualified freelancer, $100 developer, $1,000 is a lawyer. Also, you can package differently, not an hourly rate, but a monthly rate. A trickier approach that guarantees you a stable life is a retainer. If you charge for a month, let me make translations for you, and they ask you how much, and you don't say 3 cents per hour per word. You say, okay, you'll pay me $1,500 a month, or whichever amount per month for this kind of volume, give or take this much. I'm not nitpicking and counting by the word, but you have this high limit per month. So $1,500 per month, a retainer. 3 or 4, or better 5 such customers, that's the maximum you can hit a month. But that's enough. A retainer is much more convenient than a by word rate, because the result is well predicted, and all these machine corrections are not a problem for you. So what's my final point in this? You take you charge a retainer like $1,500 per month. You find 4 customers like that. What do you have to know? You have to know what the customers needs, 10 questions, 20 questions, and a Zoom. And be in the know in your area. And life is going to get much more easier. Thank you. Thank you, Konstantin. Like a person with a mic. Can I ask a question? Right from the get-go, it ties very well with the practice in Zoom. Look, I want to understand the logic behind some of the words. We have a New York-based interpreter or translator. He's far from language skills, the Ukrainian language skills. He's well in technology. But here we have Svetlana, who is in the country, who knows the language, who knows the biotechnology. Why did you offer her to dump the prices a little bit, not to take 20% lower? It makes her work easier. 1,200 is enough for her per month. Why is it enough? She has a better Ukrainian language. She has better skills, better knowledge in the technical part. Why do you think it's enough for her 1,200? Svetla, how is it easier for you to sell your day? 3,000 or 1,200? You can sell the day of your work in New York for $5,000. But what's easier, 1,200 or 5,000? I can tell you why I will want a discount. Because Svetlana's IBAN account number is not accepted by my Ukrainian bank. Because you have to be a legal entity in Europe. Right. Seriously? I do. My bank account is accepted. So what's easier to sell? 1,200 or 3? 1,200, but I would like 3. Everyone have in their head an invisible barrier. What's your own price assessment? I have the same problem every year. I'm breaking this glass ceiling bit by bit every year, but still I'm not there. We're downpricing ourselves a little bit. If you can sell yourself at 3,000, I will applaud you. Where's Mr. Bondarenko? He was my applause man in the audience. But there's still questions pending from the audience, please. There's also a probability that New York's based translator will be able to work again with New York-based customers in restaurants. And they will be all tired from Zoom. They will be hungry for, physical connection. It's too late for that. It's too late. That's my question. That's my answer. It's not going to go there anymore. Konstantin, could you explain to us about 4 retainers per month? Retainer, does it mean you have an exclusive customer for this price? You don't deal with anyone else for this retainer? Well, you can write exclusive, but then you will depend on one customer who has your livelihood in their hands. But then, as a person who works for a retainer from 2009, I forgot to tell you one more thing. Thank you for this question. That's a cue for me to tell you one more thing. It's called client qualification. Know what it is? Client qualification? It means that not every customer is your customer. Before you say to the customer, yes, we're going to work, if you can, if you're not in a critical and dire situation, then you have to qualify it. You have to grade your customer. Is it your customer? What's a good customer? Pays in a timely manner, comfortable to talk to, spends minimum like 10,000 or 1 million per year. Don't take smaller customers who don't move you forward. They don't change your life for better. Just stick to those who are good for your requirements. But only in the case when you're you could convince them. But if it's a very highly competitive market, 10 mouths per one caterpillar, then of course you act accordingly. Hello, thanks a lot for the presentation. It's very exciting. How do we how do I find a company? So that's something you will find out in the next presentation from me. That's unfair. Life is unfair. Deal with it. That's it.